Greetings and welcome to The Place to Be. I'm John Neiman, your host. As you can tell by our set design and set decor, it's the month of March and we're celebrating St. Patty's Day. Father Carr was born on St. Patty's Day, March 17th, 1942. He died at the age of 65, but his legacy has been living on now for 48 years. And St. Patty's Day was a day that he loved and cherished and he celebrated all year round. Welcome to our show. This is the March edition. This is our 7th show of this new series called The Place to Be. I want to start out always by thanking our sponsors who make this show possible. We could not put this show on without them. And of course, one of our sponsors is Father Carr's Place to Be. And our other sponsor is the Oshkosh Herald. It's a wonderful community newspaper. Comes out every Tuesday, gives you all the news and the happenings that's going on in our wonderful community. And then also our set design. Our set design is always unique, it's always special, and that's by Brian at U-Bloom. If you haven't been to U-Bloom, check them out. They're on Witzel, they're right before Jetstream. It's a wonderful shop. You can get so many things there, from candy to candles to unique gifts to clothing and of course to floral. Looking ahead, just dates to put out there for you, National Volunteer Recognition Week. It's an important time. I love volunteers, as you know, worked with them my entire life. And the week set aside to celebrate them by the Points of Light Foundation and other groups is April 17th. I love our crew. I have to say hats off to our crew here at Oshkosh Media. I just talk and it comes right on the screen. And I'm getting older, so sometimes I can't remember the dates, but Volunteer Recognition Week is April 17th to 23rd. So that's a special time to really do something great for all the volunteers that you come into touch with in your daily life. And also then, Father Carr's annual Bridge Walk. It's just a fun time for people to get together, to have a walk, to come back. The date for that is Saturday, June 4th. Of course, that's last year's wonderful poster, but the date is Saturday, June 4th, 2022. Put that on your calendar. More information will be coming. June sounds like it's really far away, but hey, didn't February go fast also? So that's my topics in the first segment. Stay tuned. We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we'll be back and talk about St. Vincent De Paul.
We've always been interconnected, interdependent, united. And that's never been more apparent than right now. What we do together today will determine how we live united tomorrow. Stay home, stay strong, and if you're able, give for your neighbors who need help the most.
Hi, I'm pleased to have our guest for this March edition of The Place to Be is the manager of St. Vincent De Paul, new to her role, doing a wonderful job, Tara Gray Seymour.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. I'm glad that you
you.
could be here with us.
Thank you, me too.
So how long have you been with St. Vincent De Paul?
I have been there since September 15th of just this last year.
Last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not a lot of time, but in essence, really a lot of time because I'm there a lot.
You came from a world of retail, of for-profit?
Yeah, they are like your big box stores.
Okay.
Where I was prior to here was actually called The Loft, which was a part of Ann Taylor.
Oh, okay.
And they were in the mall in Appleton. And then prior to that, I was with Home Goods. And I was the key carrier there. It was my last role.
Oh.
So I've had a lot of retail experience, even before then too. A lot of different jobs with retail. Did design. I was a design manager at Stein's a couple years over there.
Okay.
So I kind of have a lot of experience in that regard that would help I think, over at St. Vincent De Paul. So I brought those ideas and skills and with me, hoping to share and find its niche inside St.
Right.
Vincent de Paul.
So what brought you to St. Vincent de Paul?
Well, do with everyone else with COVID. I actually had stayed home and I was taking care of my mother. She was in hospice. So I had quit the jobs and stayed home and took care of her until her time. And then, of course, COVID hit full blown, and then my daughter was home. So I was now an at-home teacher, which by all means, I think I'd fire myself. I bless all those teachers out there, definitely. Yeah. And so then after that, when I felt that Neela was going back, that was my daughter's name, that going back to school, and life kind of was starting to come to some normalcy. Although COVID with normalcy is not really existence anymore. It's all new. I started thinking that it was time for me to go back to work. And so I started making my resume and putting it out there. And I had seen this on Indeed, this job. So that's when I started my journey with them. Went in and interviewed with all the council members at one time. And kind of sold myself to it because I had felt that I really could bring a gift that they needed there in their store, and see how we could together build this journey and see where we would go.
That is so interesting. And then you're using your gifts and talents in a new way at the store. So if anybody wants to know, just go on Facebook, become a friend of St. Vincent de Paul, and you will see almost daily the different displays that you do to highlight some of the unique and wonderful items that you have, besides all of the regular items. So that's one major change, is your media footprint is out there.
Yes, we're trying really hard to embark upon that by using the tools that majority of our people are using. And definitely social media is a huge one. So we're trying really hard to get our niche in there so that we can promote the store, so that people know we do more than just what we actually have with just the products. Because we also do a lot more with our community as well. Which
I think, and when I started my other show, Helping Hands, which also we did at Oshkosh Media, and it was great. It's great to work with this crew, and it's great to be back with this show. Every time I interviewed a guest from a not-for-profit, there was something new that I didn't know. And I think it was the same way with St. Vincent de Paul. Until I really got into the not-for-profit world, I didn't know everything that St. Vincent de Paul does, why they raise the money, why they have the store, because you have programs that you offer to help people.
Absolutely. And I too, I was educated even more when I had even worked there than when I was really submerged into it. Did I finally, I think, really grasp that this is much bigger than what I had thought that it originally was, because I had not been in a non-profit environment before. And so it absolutely amazes me that every single item that we sell, like we have such unique things that get donated to us, and then we turn around and we put a reasonable price on it, and we do have sales that go on 3 days a week, and when every single thing that we sell actually goes right back into the community, because we help people with paying their rent, we help people with they can't make their utility bills. We help bus passes. We spend $3,500 a month alone for just bus passes. And we spend at least $600 a month or so on getting gas vouchers for people who are in an emergency situation. We do have some criteria for these. We do have applications, but we're trying to, in these times, and especially with COVID that had happened, so many different families are in different positions than what they thought they were in. And, it's unfortunate that our Vincentians aren't able at this time. We're working on being able to go into people's homes, so that, because there are sometimes some people, that was the whole purpose, I should go back for St. Vincent de Paul, is there's a quote that Oznam had said, and it was to meet the master in his own home. And when we are in their own home, then can we really see that what they're asking for from us, they might actually need more than what they really do need. And they're not wanting to say, there was a story, somebody didn't pay their bills for their electric bill, but we went there to go help them because they were asking for a gas price to help pay for their gas. So we helped all of that.
Because you see clearly more the need. And I will say that people in need, people who are truly in need, are humble.
Yes.
They're always saying, there's somebody else worse off than I am.
Absolutely.
And I found that out too when COVID hit too. I started, I was at Father Carr's less than a month and COVID hit. And so it was I had to do a lot of changing and saw a lot more needs. And most of the needs came from people who they had to take their children or their grandchildren in, or their college student children came back home, and they didn't even know where to begin to ask for help. They didn't feel that they should deserve the help. And it was like instructing those people that, yes, it's for you. This is for all of you, the resources that our community has. And when I think of St. Vincent De Paul, we always encourage people to go there because you are supporting our community in various ways. There's also a thrift shop that Zion Lutheran Church has on Main Street. All of their proceeds go to their food pantry. Those are the things that people want to support.
Yeah.
So when people call us at Father Carr's, it's a well-known statement that we say, no, we can't take it, but please donate it to St. Vincent de Paul's because they help us out with vouchers for our residents.
Right.
And so what you do, I think people need to know more of, that you're doing this, and you're not like other thrift stores where the money goes somewhere else. Your money goes right back into the community.
Absolutely, every single cent, everything. I mean, we do have to pay like our bills,
right? Yes.
Yes. Realistically. And we also fund the churches that in our organization, that we can help the councils and each of the churches that are for us to give them funds that they can pay to help people for their rent, for the utilities, for those. And there even the vouchers that we get with the clothing, with furniture, with bikes, various things that someone doesn't realize when they lose what they did have, or they have to randomly start someplace new and they don't know what to start with. I mean, we try to every situation we try to take it in strides and go through it, because we know it might not be just the rent. It might be they might need help with a doctor bill or something.
Right.
There's always that possibility. We will do what we can with what we have. We might not have it all, but it might be something.
Right. And if you can't, you offer other resources to people of where they can go, like
Absolutely.
we do. We say, have you tried this? I do want to say one change that I've noticed in your store, and the St. Vincent de Paul store is on Jackson, right with the Oshkosh Food Pantry,
Yep.
very accessible, is you don't have so much anymore that it's all shoved away and you can't see it all.
Right.
It used to be like, even with the pictures, because I love the Rolling Stones graphic here, but it used to be with the pictures too, you'd have to go through and try to find stuff and it's hidden away. But now you're displaying things so much better.
And we have a boutique now too, where we try to put together, we have a lot of thrifters, and there's a lot of resale stores, other secondhand stores and stuff, other people that will come to us because of our prices, and then they will, take it. And I do know that. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. But I price it still according, so at least we're still getting something, and they're getting something.
Right.
And there's so many unique pieces, and we're trying, and that's where I'm trying to utilize my retail experience and all my marketing that I've learned through the years by using, like we're going to start using Instagram as well.
Oh.
And by having our prices and move the merchandise a lot faster so that we can get it. Everything will have a price tag on it, because then I can identify what really in each place is selling, what's not selling.
Okay.
Trying to get us into that, and then we can see where we might need to work more on this area first before we hit a different area, so we can get this back up filling again. Like decor or women's jeans. We go through a lot of women's jeans. We go through a lot of men's jeans.
Wow.
So
I want to talk another topic about volunteers, but let's talk about, so if someone is in need, they can't just call you up and say, hey, I need a gas voucher. Hey, I need a bus pass. There's a system, there's a process for that to happen.
Correct. We have an application.
Okay.
We do ask people to bring in an ID because we do want to make sure that we are helping our community first before we outreach anywhere else. We really, because there's St. Vincent De Paul's that are in other locations to try to grab some of that areas. So we'll try to stick with our area and our woods, that area. And it's the same thing with application for rental assistance or utility assistance. We have an application they fill out that gives us an idea of what income they're making and how far behind. And then our Vincentians from the church will make the decision and sit with them and try to go over their bill and see what they can and can't help with, and try to work with them and saying, okay, what's your plan for the next month now? Those kind of things. It's the same thing with vouchers. We have to try, and then we keep track of the individual, the client or the person who's using our services, so that we have an idea to track. After a while, are we really helping this individual anymore, or are we just hindering them? To try to see what more maybe we could try to work with them.
Right. Maybe
they need another avenue. So the process, it's not a real lengthy process. It takes, once they fill the application out, then it takes like maybe a couple days or maybe a week or two at the most. Because they're volunteers as well that are coming in, and they're doing the purpose of going through and asking, okay, well, what can we do? How can we help? And those and sit down and talk with them face to face.
So, as the role of executive director, a lot of things fall under that role. And I had this vision of you going through all of the paperwork and meeting all these things that I'm going. So I'm glad to know that the volunteers from the area churches that are part of
the Catholic churches.
They go through it all. Okay.
Yep, they're trained appropriately, and that's what we call our Vincentians, and they come together as a team. And they, by meeting the master in their own home. When they can, they've been in people's homes and tried to assess, all the things that they do need, so that they can speak for them, and then they'll come to us. That's the structure, how they had designed it to be. With each area, it changes and it alters.
Right.
There are certain different guidelines and parameters, and some areas have different needs than others. But to try to humble, to understand that, with good there is bad too. There are, those checks and balances, and it's always trying to find that common, how we can help, but how can we actually really help, but not try to make them become
kind of like dependent.
Yes, thank you. And that's where, by having the items being sold and the income, and I am ever so grateful for our volunteers and for our staff, because with all of them, that's what makes this work.
And you mentioned, because you came from the box store profit world, now you're in this world, but you mentioned something interesting, which I don't think a lot of people in human services understand, is in our role, and in the roles of other not-for-profits. I can think of AdvoCap and REACH and the Boys and Girls Club. You are more than one hat. You said, you're a counselor, you're a social worker, you're a therapist, because you listen. It does take an emotional toll after a while, because you hear these stories, and there's only so much that we can physically do for people.
Right.
And your heart goes out to them.
Oh, absolutely. And it's ever so, it can be draining, and that's something you can't teach that. And until you are fully submerged into it and you have that place and it's like, wow, there are a part of society that do need help.
Right.
And there are programs, and yeah, it is draining, and we are only can do so much for that individual to give them the tools that they need to succeed as well, because that's what ultimately they want to do that too. They don't want to be in this position, but it's getting the right tools to the right person so that they can go on.
Right. And I'm sure you get the same thing that we get, is we get people who either have used our free clinic or used our food pantry or used our shelter, and they come back and they're on their feet and they want to give back. Yeah. And I'm sure it's the same way with you, with the clients that you help. They get back on their feet, they realize the help that you gave, and now they can donate or they can volunteer and give back and make it a stronger place.
Yes, absolutely. We do have many people that are that way, even young ones in our community, that when they come to volunteer, because we work with Quest, which are students,
yes.
And some of them have said, I am so grateful to be here because my family did use this when I was young, and I want to give back, and I want to be a part of that, and it's like that full circle thing, where I think so many times we forget, that it's okay to be humble, and it's okay to give, and it's okay to not accept anything in return too. It's just, I'm giving this to you, and this is my time, and that's what that's volunteering.
That's exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because let's talk about volunteers now.
Yes.
Because what's interesting, we share, and most not-for-profits in our community share volunteers. A volunteer usually is at 3 other places at the, serving. So we share volunteers. Let's talk about your volunteer program.
Wonderful. Yes, our volunteer program. We have different. We're still working on. We're working with this program that actually the food pantry is using, and where we're sharing their database, which is fantastic.
KMAX, we have it too.
You have it too.
I just talked to the new manager of the food pantry. We got a grant to get KMAX for our food program, and now we're utilizing it for our volunteer program. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's excellent.
You will really enjoy it.
See, and that's what's another thing that's missing too, is that for non-for-profits is sharing the information.
Right.
Why not make it? Because then if we can share, and if you know something that I didn't know, that now I know, or educate with you too.
Yes.
Like grants. There's so many other opportunities out there that we could use, that then we don't have to take away from this fund, because this fund is what we really need to give to the community. And if we can break it down by having it not cost as much, like computers or some of those things.
Yes.
And volunteering and using that program will be so helpful for me as a manager, because then I have an idea of the people who are in the store. I can see a face because they do have photos, and people can go online and they can have it on their app, and they can still, for others who don't use it or they don't have computers, it's something that's able to address for them as well. Mm-hmm. We have a computer in the store that you can sign into, and we can utilize it that way, and you get to spend your time, and we have different areas that you can volunteer in. If you don't want to be a cashier, you could be a bagging. If you don't want to bag, we have sorting, we have furniture, we have our clothing department, we have pricing, we have so many other areas. Our store, it's the old COPS building, and it's just ginormous.
My gosh, yes, you are blessed. It's a great place.
We are, and there's so many different gems that we still get to discover as we're there and finding out. And when we have the volunteers, they help us by being there and giving their spirit, their time, their energy, that then they're there for a little while and then they're gone, and then somebody else comes in and they share, and you meet so many different people, and they're out there educating the rest of the community as well.
Yeah, the best PR people, for you are the volunteers. And you mentioned something before about networking, which is again, 2 programs that we have in Oshkosh, and you've attended. Go Volunteer is one program with in conjunction with the university and Mike Luter, and we meet every other month at Father Carr's, and lunch is provided. But that's a chance for all of us who utilize volunteers to get together and say, do you know about this? Do you know that 4Imprint is doing this? Do you know that this program is here? And it's a chance for us to share and grow.
Right.
And then the other one is the United Way's Coffee and Conversation, which they just started for business leaders. Again, a chance to share and to hook people up together, like saying, I have a need, well, I have this excess. The university used to have a giveaway when they, in the summer, when they would clean out their stuff, they would give furniture away and all this, and it was for not-for-profits to use and utilize because maybe you couldn't afford the computer or the desk or anything. So
Right.
that networking is so important for us to do because our budgets are so small.
Right, exactly. And if we can share it, and then that's one less stress that as an organization that we don't have to have on our
Right.
shoulders because there's already enough there. So if it's something there, and support. If you don't have what I need, at least can you lend me your ear?
Right, right.
Can I share with you? How did you get through this experience?
Right.
Those kind of things, because it's a big job.
Yep. So is there anything that you brought so many little goodies here?
Did.
Is there anything you
did.
want to show us or talk about?
Well, it's so interesting because we're also using now Marketplace where we're selling a lot of our items there as well. So now the community can go on Facebook and look at those. And we try to implement new things a lot. All the time, actually. One thing I will.
You have a little length with your cord. So.
Okay, I have a little. I'll be mindful of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have, like every season, there's always the holidays. Also St. Patrick's Day. We didn't have as much St. Patrick's, so I wasn't able to really bring in that. But Easter is coming. We've got lots of bunnies. You know, I mean, the price of a bunny, this is a really nice bunny. He's $2. You know, and you can fill a basket and you can still provide for all the children. Easter eggs, this whole bag of Easter eggs, beautiful colors, those are $3. You know, we get unique little things. You want to decorate your home and bring a little sunflower.
Especially now, yes, we're in March, cold, winter.
Right. I mean, we have this right here is actually a Dooney and Berkey purse. We have it for $30, and that's in our store, in our little boutique area. So we have name brand purses. You know, some people, and you don't necessarily have to pay the full price.
Right.
I get you really unique items like this Rolling Stone. It does have proper paperwork.
Wow.
That is in the back, and it is signed. The signature's there. This has a number. So we get, I mean, people are very grateful for us. I mean, we do go and we do pick up furniture. Clothing, we have a lot of clothing.
Right.
So we try to stick with just the furniture at this time because we do pickups.
And you really have something for everybody. And guess what, Tara? I told you this was going to happen. Our time is winding.
All done.
Our time is winding down here. But I think the important thing of this visit today, which we'll have to do again,
Sure.
is to let people know the good that St. Vincent De Paul is doing in our community,
Yes.
and the changes which are for the better.
Absolutely.
You know, and that when people donate to St. Vincent De Paul, they know that their money's supporting our community. So I'm so thankful that we could connect
Thank you
and
so
beyond,
much. Thank
and
you so
beyond
much
this
for
show.
having me. I
And
appreciate it.
you want to learn more about St. Vincent De Paul, there is Tara's number on the screen. If you want to know more too, you also can contact me at my number. My cell phone number is 920-279-9873. Please feel free and contact me. Thank you very much. Make it a great month. Celebrate St. Patty's Day. Thank you.